The second presentation on the topic of implementation of the Financial Consumer Protection Act in Korea, focusing on the post-implementation and demand-side issues, will be delivered by Professor Cheol Choi from Sungmyung Women's University in Korea. Professor Choi also recorded his presentation in advance, so again, let's pay close attention.
My name is Cheol Choi. I'm an associate professor of consumer economics at Sungmyung Women's University in Seoul, Korea. Today, I deliver my speech titled Implementation of the FCP Act in Korea, focusing on the post-implementation and demand-side issues. This is the order of my presentation today. I'll briefly mention the contents of the FCP Act, and then I'll also introduce some problematic issues. In particular, I'd like to emphasize the rights and duties of financial consumers. I will also consider some provisions concerning financial education, and then I will conclude my presentation with my personal opinions. Okay, let's see the brief contents of the Financial Consumer Protection Act. This act separates an ordinary financial consumer from a professional and sophisticated financial consumer. A PFC is professionally qualified in terms of knowledge and experience in finance and has enough capacity to take financial risks. An OFC is defined as a financial consumer who is not a PFC. This separation is very important because it affects most of business conduct regulations in this act. Next, this act divides financial products into 4 categories. Number 1, deposit type financial products. Number 2, loan type financial products. Number 3, investment type financial products. Number 4, insurance type financial products. These classifications are also important because they are given relevant regulations according to the types of financial products. Article 7 and Article 8 display the rights and duties of financial consumers respectively. These will be discussed later in this presentation. Article 9 is about the state's duties. Article 10, financial product sellers' duties. More importantly, Chapter 4 contains key regulations on financial product selling. There are 6 principles. This topic was thoroughly covered in the preceding presentation by Professor Go. Chapter 5 contains so many specific provisions concerning financial consumer protection They are Financial Services Commission's roles in financial consumer protection, financial education, settlement of disputes, remedy for damages, cooling off or withdrawal of signing off for financial products, and cancellation of legally defective contracts. The last two are newly introduced financial consumer rights through this legislation. Chapter 6 consists of supervision and penalty provisions. And this is a brief history of this Financial Consumer Protection Act. The original bill was proposed in 2011. A new bill legislated in 2020 and finally enforced in 2021 this year. Okay, there are some problematic issues. The first one relates to the explanation duty in Article 19. That is, sellers should explain material details of financial products according to their types so that an ordinary financial consumer may understand them. Here is a news report concerning this matter. I'll read this. Financial companies are still confused with details regarding the new law, such as what will be considered mis-selling and who will take responsibility for losses incurred when customers cancel a purchase. From the financial company's side, selling has become very difficult and time-consuming. As a source from the local banking industry said. The second one relates reversing the burden of proof in Article 44. That is, sellers hold the responsibility for verifying their compliance with the regulations. Here is another news report concerning this matter. I'll read that. An official from a local securities firm said the introduction of the act will add more confusion in the event of a dispute. When a customer raises a dispute over the potential mis-selling of any financial products, its seller should be in charge of demonstrating whether their sales are fair or not, the official said. But the current guideline of the Act remains vague, so chances of unreasonable consumer complaints may increase. Next, I'll talk about the rights and duties of financial consumers. Article 7 displays financial consumers' rights. Number one, right to have their property protected against unlawful business conduct. Number two, right to be provided with the knowledge and information necessary for selecting financial products. Number three, right to have their opinions reflected in policies of the state and local governments, which may affect their financial lives. Number four, right to obtain proper compensation for damages sustained in their financial lives. Number five, right to receive the education necessary for carrying on their rational lives as financial consumers. And number six, right to establish an organization and work therein in order to promote their rights and interests as financial consumers. These are the rights of financial consumers. And then Article 8 displays financial consumers' duties. Financial consumers shall make the right choice of financial products and exercise justly their fundamental rights provided for in Article 7 through recognizing themselves as the main constituent of the financial markets with business entities. And it also reads, financial consumers shall endeavor to acquire knowledge and information necessary for promoting their own rights and interests. So in my personal opinion, this article is very important. And there are some special provisions concerning financial education. Article 29 reads, the Financial Services Commission shall endeavor to improve the financial capability of financial consumers. And Article 30 reads, the Financial Services Commission shall develop financial education programs and make policies to improve the financial capability of financial consumers. The establishment of the Council on Financial Education, CFE, is based on Article 31. It is tasked to review and decide financial education policies. The following provisions give more details about the CFE. The CFE consists of 25 or less representatives from the government agencies related to financial education and is chaired by the vice chairman of the FSC. And the CFE is very similar to the Financial Literacy and Education Commission in the US. Lastly, I'd like to share my opinions. The structure of the Financial Consumer Protection Act appears to be good in that it contains most of important elements for financial consumer protection. However, it needs to be improved in details of some regulations so that they may be in line with the financial market and its functioning. The separation between OFCs and PFCs is relevant, but there are many different OFCs in reality. That is, the level of financial literacy of an OFC varies from low to high as with a wide range. This fact should be more carefully considered in business conduct regulations, especially in the explanation duty of financial product sellers. And then I'd like to think about the limitation of financial consumer protection. Is it the ultimate solution to financial consumer problems and issues? That is my question. Considering the imbalance between financial consumers and businesses in their information and bargaining powers, financial consumer protection is still important and necessary. As stated in Article 8, the role and capacity as the main constituent of the financial market are more important. Financial capability relates to or depends on financial education. The method and approaches of financial education should be improved with the help of technological advances, and there should be more emphasis on research on financial education in the future. Okay, this is the end of my presentation today. Thank you very much.